Hi everybody, welcome in this presentation of the upcoming map editor, a new feature that we are going to add in WorkAdventure. So this is a re-recording of the presentation we've been doing today, but that kind of failed. So yes, I'm recording the presentation again for those who could not be here. Let's get started. So, the map editor. Well, first of all, what are we trying to solve? What kind of problem are we trying to solve? Well, if you've been editing maps in WorkAdventure, you probably know it is kind of quite technical. For instance, you need to download Tile, which is a great editor, but it's an offline tool. And when you have your map, you need to upload it on a web server. So in order to make it easy, we are usually going through GitHub and GitHub Action, but then it means you need to be able to push something on GitHub, have a GitHub account. So all in all, the process is kind of quite technical. Also, when you do this, editing is restricted to the ones who have access to the map files and to the web server actually, so administrators. And we have no granularity. In the future, I would very much like to have some users that are able to edit some parts of the map or being able to put a small sticky note on the desk of a colleague without being able to change the walls, for instance. And this is not possible with the current system. And finally, WorkAdventure is about doing things together, and I would like very much that map editing is possible together. So a kind of live editing where a whole team would regroup and design its own office, that would be really awesome. So this is what we are targeting. We are at a kind of early stage of development. We've been working on this for quite some time, almost a year, but still it's pretty early. This month, so in February, we are going to release a first version of the map editor that contains only objects. So it will be an object editor. You will be able to place entities. When I say entities, I mean furnitures on a map. So it's kind of an IKEA mode where you can put a chair, a table, a painting, whatever, on your map. And if we are good enough, we will also be releasing the areas editor that will allow you to put start, exit zones, Jitsi meeting rooms on your map directly by drawing a square and configuring it inside WorkAdventure. What is out of scope of what we are going to release this month, it's ground and walls. So this is the hard part really, it's a big chunk and it will come later. But the target is to be able to have a complete online map editor inside WorkAdventure. It does not mean we are going to abandon Tile. Tile is a great tool and we will keep being able to work with it. It's just that we will also provide an online tool, a live tool, so that team can edit a map together. And that will hopefully be more easy to use for beginners. Okay, so let me make a quick demo of what we have been working on. Here, I have a map, and you see these furnitures have been placed with the map editor. It's a small tool that will be available here. Wait, I'm going to close this. And I get to choose from a bunch of items that I can put on the map as I want. So maybe I'm going to put this table and I'm going to put a chair. You can see that the chair can be in different facing positions, down, left, right and up. So let me put a chair like this. And I can also change the color of the chair if I want, maybe a red chair on the opposite side. I'll pick, I don't know, some kind of a screen that I can put here, and well, you get the idea. It is a classic map editor. You can also, of course, move existing objects. Here I put a computer that I actually configured to open a link to WorkAdventure map building. So if I'm closing the map editor and I'm moving to the computer and I'm pressing the space key, oops, wait, yeah. Pressing the space key, I can access an interactive object that will open the documentation to the page I targeted. You have a number of actions you can do. So far you can open a link. Oh, I'm in French actually. I need to switch that to English. Yes. And yeah, it will be changed when I refresh actually. So you can open a link, play a file, go to a GT meeting room. Each object can also have a name, like that will be displayed in the menu. And in the future there will be more, for instance, opening a GT meeting, a big blue button meeting room, maybe calling something in the scripting API. We can imagine plenty of things. All right. You'll also notice that by default the objects are collidables where they are supposed to be collidables, and basically those objects have collides that are already declared. Some are collidables, others are not. For instance, I can go through this plant without any issue. And also, you will notice that unlike tiles, I can actually put an object in a kind of pixel perfect way. And this was not possible previously where objects were actually tiles. And if I want to stick to the grid, I can press the Shift key. Wait, can I? Okay. I should be able to press the Shift key. Yep, small regression, but yeah, in the future you'll be able to press the Shift key and it will stick to the grid. This is actually working in Firefox, but not in Chrome. Interesting. Anyway, so this is basically what we have about the map editor. So, if you are wondering where all of this is stored, this is actually stored inside the tiled map itself. And we store that inside a property that is in the map file itself. Yeah, in the future, for when we will be developing walls and ground, we will maybe break compatibility with tile, but right now, you are able to use tile inside the map editor. And as I said, we will keep tile compatibility for maps that are outside the map editor, but inside the map editor, at some point we will maybe have a custom format. How does it work? Well, as I said, previously maps could be hosted anywhere on the web. And you had to provide a web server with a map, and WorkAdventure would load that map from everywhere. But with a map editor, we need write access to be able to edit the map itself. Because we are writing inside the map the position of the objects. So, because we need write access, it means we actually have to host the map ourselves. We kind of thought, oh, okay, can we maybe keep storing it into Git and making commits? But since we are doing live editing, that would mean a huge number of commits, so this was not really possible. We have to host the map on inside the WorkAdventure system. Previously, you were designing a map on tile, you would upload it to a web server via FTP maybe, or most of the time we were actually putting it in GitHub, and we were using the GitHub Pages feature to create a web server automatically. and WorkAdventure would load the maps from the web server. This will still be possible, but in addition to that, if you want to be using live editing feature, there will be a new way where you will you will still be designing the map in tile at the beginning. You put everything in a zip file, so the map file, the assets, and every file needed for your map. So if you've got JavaScript file, CSS, put all that in a zip, and you'll upload it on the admin dashboard that will itself forward it to a new container that is called map storage that will actually write the file to disk. And the browser will access the map storage container directly and load the map from the map storage container. So the map storage container is a web server that will actually serve the map files, but it will also be able to modify those map files. So when someone is editing a map, like taking an entity and putting it, actually a message is sent to the pusher, goes to the back to the map storage, the map is written to disk, and then the map storage dispatches the changes to the other clients that will see the entity being displayed in live. If you are using a self-hosted version, you probably don't have an admin here, so you can upload the file directly on the map storage container, or you can even, it's possible, directly put the map inside the storage itself, so on the disk itself, via FTP, direct access, SFTP, WebDAV, whatever. Let me show you how it works in the admin dashboard right now. Well, here is the dashboard. The design is completely temporary. We are still working on it, but you get the idea. You will be able to see a list of maps. And let's say I'm creating a new map. I'm going to call it map test demo, for instance. And I'm actually going to open this map test demo. Yep. And yeah, I'll just change the name here so that we can see it. Hello, something like this. Now I'm going to create a zip. So I'm going to take the map and the assets, compress, create the zip file, and we will be loading this zip file. And when everything is loaded, you see that the new file is available. So it's office test demo with hello hello here. And if I click on here on the map, I'm in the map, and I can open, close the map editor and start editing things. If you have a quick look at the URL, you will see there is a tilde sign. It means that when there is a tilde, it means that we are fetching the map from the map storage and not from the web. Then you've got the organization, the world, and the path to the map within the zip file that I just uploaded. So it works this way. All right. Let me continue this presentation. There are a few important changes. When you are using the map editor, when you upload the zip file, the maps must have a .tmg extension. Okay? Most of the time, we were designing map with a JSON extension, and it will be invalid within the map storage component. You can still use the .json extension outside of it, so if you load the map from the outside, but if you use the map storage extension, you will need to use the TMG. The map storage component, you will need to use the TMG extension. Why are we doing that? Well, when you upload the map, you will get some kind of validation, and there are going to be a number of errors that will be displayed if, for instance, there is a missing tile set, or if the floor layer is not available, stuff like that. And basically, to do this, we need to find all the maps. And if we scan JSON file, we might encounter some files that might not be maps. For instance, if I'm using npm, I will have a package.json. It is definitely not a map. I want to be sure when I analyze a file that it is indeed a map to not return a false positive. So this is why we are mandating the TMJ extension for maps. Also, for now, you will need a special collisions layer and a special zone tile set. This is very temporary. It's something that will, a constraint that will be removed in the next few days or weeks. A quick note about designing assets. First of all, the entities, the objects, are currently hard-coded in WorkAdventure. Sorry about that. This is still a beta version. It's not. It's a very, very early version, and right now the list of entities and objects that you can put is really hard-coded. But in v1.16, so not the next version, but the one after, that will be released in March, the entities collections will be configurable. At first, they will be configurable via a JSON file. Then in the future, we will design an editor for those, but at first it will be a JSON file. So I'm going to present you what this JSON file is looking like right now, so you can create your own collections. So an entity basically is made of a name, for instance, basic root table. It has a bunch of tags. I don't know if you've seen, but you can actually search by name or by tag any entities, because the entities list will be in the future quite long, I hope. It has an image, of course, so it is the image that is being displayed. The image can be any size. You don't have to stick to a grid. It can be huge or very small. It has a direction, so up, down, left, and right. It can have a color, and if items with the same name but with different colors are grouped together. And it also has a collision grid. So I'm pretty sure you understand just by looking at that what it means. It means that this root table here will be colliding on the tile at the bottom, but not on the tile at the top. So the collision grid is working on a tile by tile basis, so 32 by 32 basis. Finally, we have a depth offset that I'm going to talk more extensively now. The depth offset is used to know what goes on top of what. By default, we decided that the Z index of a sprite, so the depth of a sprite, would be directly linked to the bottom Y coordinate of the sprite. So have a look here. My Woka, his feet here are below the flowers, the plants. Because they are below, I'm displaying the Woka in front of the plant. But if the feet are above the bottom of the plant, then I'm hiding the Woka behind. And this is working really pretty well by default. And it's really okay for all objects that are kind of vertical, you know. If the object is mostly vertical, this is a good default behavior. However, if the object is flat, for instance, if we deal with a table, this default will not work, because as soon as I'm above the feet of the table, my Woka will go below the table. And maybe I want my Woka to walk on top of the table if the table is not collidable. And so what we need to do is actually we need to set the z-index to y-coordinates that are a bit different. And the good default for that, I think, it's the basically setting the z-index to the real fits of the table. So basically, I'm looking at my object, I'm saying in my head, okay, where are the bottom fits? So there must be hidden here and here, so my line should be here. If my WOCA is below this, I want my WOCA to be displayed on top of the table. You see here, the end of the WOCA is put on the table, so it's looking nice. If, however, my WOCA is above this line, then I want the WOCA to be displayed below the table, and I don't want the WOCA to walk upon the table. So basically, this line here is the magic line that makes, when my WOCA passes it, he must be displayed on top of the object. And the height between the bottom of the table and this line is what we call the depth offset. So, the depth offset here is the number of pixels that are here, and it's basically the magic, the magic value that makes it really easy. Let me show you with a quick demo. Let's put my table here, and let's say I want to put a screen on top of the table. You see here, the screen is correctly put, but as soon as I'm moving above this threshold, the z-index of the screen gets below the z-index of the table, and my screen is falling off the table. And it's kind of, well, a nice default behavior. Same thing with the bin here. In the future, maybe directly from the map editor, we will be able to override the default z-offset, depth offset. But right now, it is kind of a pretty cool behavior. And we are basically targeting the ability to have a system that is working with good defaults out of the box. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the container architecture. So we have this new container that is called map storage. The map storage container can actually store files in two different ways. It can store files on the disk, or, and the disk is basically the default behavior. So if you make a Docker volume, you can have your files available on the host, and that's pretty cool. It can also store files on Amazon S3 or any S3 compatible storage. There are a bunch of S3 compatible storage nowadays. Yeah, if you want to store your maps on something that is more robust, you can go with S3. The disk file system should be a good default for most of people, I think, really. Yeah. Also, if you want to test this yourself with the self-hosted version, as I am speaking, we are at the end of January right now. The map storage is still at a beta stage. And so the map editor is hidden behind the feature flag, which is enable feature map editor. So you need to set this value to true to be able to access the map storage. For our SaaS user, there will be an open beta also. If you want to be able to access it, just drop us a message, or we will communicate on the open beta as soon as it's available. As I said, if you want to test it, don't forget the tilde. In self-hosted mode, you directly put the path to the TMG file, and in SaaS mode, you click on the link and you will see here there is an organization and world before the path to the map. All right. So that's it. Thanks a lot to everybody watching. And I would like, before leaving you, to thank particularly the University of Rennes that actually sponsored the project, and Orange Business Service that implemented a part of the object editor that you are seeing right now. Thanks to both of them for contributing to WorkAdventure. This is really, really pretty cool. We have a number of other features coming. We have live streaming that will be coming through a megaphone in the future, and really a lot to do on the map editor. So if you want to get involved, don't hesitate. A big thanks to Piotr, who's been working on this feature for almost 1 year, to Clément, and to all the team. See you soon, guys, and hope you'll enjoy it. And also, very important, don't hesitate to send us feedback. We need your feedback. We can be a bit long to answer sometimes, but your feedback is always valuable, and your contributions, of course, if you want to open up here